Hello, I am back. Welcome to my channel. Today I'll be drawing a D&D character based on the roll of the dice.
Let's bring out the Tower of Destiny!
Now, as you can see from my inspiration board here, we have a witch with a sailor background, and she's from the Coven of Black Magic, which I'll get into later. And I went with a water genasi because obviously, like sailor, water genasi, they go well together. And I didn't just want her to be any kind of sailor. I wanted to be kind of an important character on the ship, so maybe like a captain or even an admiral. Let's get started. Now, those of you who play a lot of D&D will know that there is not a witch class in the D&D official guides. I am working from one that I found online. There's a website called GM Binder where people can post their homebrew creations. I've got a link in the description below to the actual witch class that I'm referring to. I wanted to make my own, but I couldn't narrow down all the different kinds of witches into just 4, and this one managed to do that. And even though I'm not 100% happy with the options of witches, this one, for the purpose of playing a game, and especially for the purpose of just drawing a character, is great. They put a lot of thought into it, and have a look at it if you're interested in playing your character as a witch. This one has, as I said, 4 subclasses, and the one that I rolled was the Coven of Black Magic subclass, which means they're not evil per se, but they're not particularly good either. It says they use their magic to curse and poison their enemies and those who would bring harm to their allies. So where you would have a white magic witch, they would be a little closer to a cleric, doing a lot of healing magic and sort of light and nice and pretty spells. These ones are based on necrotic damage usually, or poison. They're a little bit more badass, so fun to draw, fun to work with this, especially coming from like a sailor captain position. She's not just like a solitary witch who's working in the shadows. She has teams working for her. She has crews of shipmates who are doing her bidding, and I think that's a really fun concept to work with, because usually when you're talking about a witch, you picture her alone, working by herself. That doesn't have to be the case. Now, with her ability scores, I did arrange them based on the recommendations of this homebrew witch class. So I made my intelligence score the highest, and then followed by constitution. Then I kind of just randomly assigned the other rolls to wherever I wanted them to be. With her official background being sailor, she gets the origin feat of tavern brawler, which is a lot of fun. And also it opens up the possibility of like how she might join in with an adventuring party, or what her motivations might be, because she's been around. She's gone on a lot of adventures already. She's gone from port to port to port. And if you were going to play this character in a game, it's probably safe to assume that the other players don't necessarily want to be other people on the ship who work for her. They might want to be, if you have the kind of party who likes to start a game where all of the characters know each other already. That's great. It's a lot of fun to do it that way, but usually people come in with their own ideas of what they want to be and what they want their background to have been. And so the question is, why would she leave her life at sea to go on an adventure, probably on land, probably, with a bunch of strangers? And I mean, there are a lot of reasons. Usually when I'm playing, it comes down to what personally motivates this character. In this case, I don't think it's necessarily family. Usually I go for a loved one, but because she's Coven of Black Magic, I don't know that she would really vibe in that direction. I think she'd be much more interested in objects of great power. So if the adventuring party was on a journey to discover some long-lost tome of magic, or a particularly powerful weapon or piece of jewelry that had especially necromancy kind of magic powers, she would be in for that. That would be her jam. So she would probably ditch her crew, and, well, maybe not ditch her crew. She might leave someone in charge while she's gone to look after everything that she's worked for in her life and make sure it's waiting for her when she gets back. The DM can decide whether or not that's how it happens, but she would probably go on an adventure with the adventuring party to get some object of great importance magically, or even to destroy an item of great magical legend if it was something that either currently rivaled her power or might potentially one day rival her power. So I think her motivation is to be powerful and have a certain number of people under her command and just basically feel in charge. So that's her main deal here. She wants to feel in charge. She doesn't accept anyone messing with her, ever. So I think if she's ever in a fight where the party loses, she would not let that go. She would be hunting whoever it was who beat them. She would be looking at like strategic ways to get to them, even if it meant like taking their family and using their family as bait and basically turning your adventuring party from heroes into villains, which can also be very fun to play. Now, the species of genasi, previously called race, are not in the new player's handbook, but they are compatible with the new player's handbook. They are basically distant relatives, so they have ancestors that were genies from the elemental planes, and because of that, each genasi can tap into the power of one of the elements, earth, air, fire, or water. And that is kind of how you define what kind of genasi you are. So a water genasi, it says that they descend from marids, which are aquatic genies from the elemental plane of water. They're perfectly suited to life underwater and carry the power of waves inside themselves. Now, because of this, I thought like rolling as a sailor just really goes hand in hand with that, because what better way to have a water genasi and witch be really powerful than to have them have a fleet of ships, or even just one ship, just the captain of one ship. But I feel like she's more admiral material, where she could literally, because she can do water walk at the 5th level, she can cast water walk as part of her call to the wave water genasi trait, which means she can just walk across the ocean from one ship to another to like check on each crew. Or she can go underwater because she's amphibious and she can breathe air and water. So she does well at sea. She's not at risk of drowning, although her crew obviously is, but she is not. So good for her. That might even be a reason why her crew are so loyal to her, or crews plural, that she has the ability to save anyone who falls overboard. She would just like jump over the side of the ship and either land on the water because she's walking across the water and pulling them out, or she would dive underneath with no risk to herself and save them that way. So it's a lot safer for a crew if your captain can stop you from drowning easily. And this is assuming that she doesn't have other water genasi on her crew. Like, I'm imagining she grew up in a place with a lot of water genasi, but they've really sort of more embraced the like, we're just gonna live under the sea kind of vibe. Like, they're just hanging out with mermaids, living a really chill life. I think that she rebelled against that, and she saw like all these humans who kept on drowning, and she's like, why are they so useless? And also, like, all of these sinking ships and stuff, they're losing valuable treasure that she could then take and keep. So she would probably have some sort of undersea loot stash but I feel like she maybe saw some pirates or something like that and got it in her head that that was just like a really cool lifestyle to have. And from her perspective, it's also a very easy lifestyle to have, because while there is the threat of being shot or stabbed or anything like that, which, you know, when you're adventuring, even not as a quote-unquote adventurer, but if you're on the seas as a pirate or a legitimate admiral of whatever shit, like you can be a pirate admiral, I think. I don't really know classes and stuff like that, but whether she's doing legitimate jobs transporting goods to and from somewhere, or if she's a pirate who's like stealing from the legitimate jobs and taking treasure that way, I think that she's in it for the fun, really, because like they can destroy an entire ship and sink it, and then she could loot it that way, or she could just take it directly and then she has another ship. So that's probably what she does. She probably offers the crew the option of like, you can be part of my fleet, you will be working for me from now on, or if you don't want to do that, we'll just completely decimate your ship and it'll go to the bottom of the sea and you'll join it, and we'll just take all of the treasure that's on board that way. So, you know, choice is yours. And yeah, I think that's her general MO, and I think she really enjoys that kind of feeling of power. I think as a child, like obviously she wasn't born with a thirst for power, but I don't think she was necessarily powerless or in an abusive situation at home. I think it was just a case of like, maybe her parents were busy or easily distracted, maybe she was part of a really big family and just overlooked a lot. So she didn't feel like powerless per se, so much as invisible and insignificant. And I think from feeling insignificant, that's where she got this idea of like, she wants to have lots of people looking up to her and admiring her and fearing her. And she got into sort of necromagic as a result of that. I think that in the subclass of the homebrew guide, it does mention that black magic is a rare, very restricted form of magic, so learning it can be difficult and finding information on it can be difficult. I think potentially a lot of it comes from the things that people have tossed in the sea as a way of getting rid of them. So like a lot of evil artifacts and a lot of like books on dark magic, they throw it in the river and they throw it in the sea thinking, yep, job done, that evil thing is out of our lives forever. And then she's come along and just found it, just swimming along because that's where she lives. And I kind of like that idea that maybe the nearest seaport has this huge magic academy that has all this like magical knowledge, and their way of getting rid of anything too dark or too dangerous for the academy is to just toss it in the sea or toss it in the river. And that's where she's getting all of her information from. I also like the idea that maybe she is friends with a sea witch, like an Ursula type character who's mentored her a little bit, but maybe even among other water genasi, her like parents and her relatives and stuff see her like gallivanting with humans on the surface of the water and stuff as like an act of rebellion, even though she's a full adult. But like they're sort of like, oh, she's just being silly, she'll grow out of it, she's just in her evil phase, we've all been there. And they don't really take it as seriously as like everyone on the surface might, where she's developed some like big reputation as being this horrifying witch woman. I haven't given her a name yet. I am going to call her Mordred, because you dread her more than anyone else, and also it's a very witchy name. So this is Mordred. I hope you like her. Or she probably hopes you are afraid of her and will bow to her, because that is her vibe. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you next time. Okay, bye!